I remember before turning to Allah, I used to fall into a lot of bad habits. I would be playing video games all day and all night. I literally used to stay up late, 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., sometimes even up to 7 a.m., just playing video games all night. And that's how things went throughout my past. And it would be a constant rinse and repeat. I'd be staying up over and over again, just playing video games, being lost within it. And I'd be eating junk food and sugar all the time. I used to stock up on candy and junk food and sweets all the time. I'd run to the market and just grab some and then just start gaming again all night. Literally just wasting my time away. I was lazy and unproductive. This had an effect on my work. And this is all when I was back in college. It all had an effect on my work. I performed worse on my work. I'd be waking up late all the time, sleeping in all the way until noon, and sometimes even into the afternoon. And I remember I would be wasting time. On top of that, I'd just get up and grab my phone right away, and I'd just be like scrolling for like another hour or two, just completely wasting my time. And over time, I just kept falling into more and more bad habits. And it just led to a bunch of disgustingness, right? And after turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with full sincerity, things took a complete 180 for me. So many of these habits in my life that I used to be doing just dropped. Like, it slowly dropped out of my life, and I didn't even look back and think about that. There was so many things that I used to do that I shouldn't have been doing or weren't good for me that just dropped out of my life. Like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed them from my life as He was drawing me closer. And this is the thing. This is what we don't realize as Muslims. You got to look at the little things, not just the whole picture. Like, truly reflecting on your past and seeing like the little things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has removed from your life that used to be bad for you. It's so, subhanallah, it shows you how Allah has been slowly guiding you closer and closer to Him. He's been pushing you closer and closer to Him without you even realizing all the little details. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides you through your actions. When you sincerely turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your actions change without you even realizing it. Like, I remember I used to be listening to music all the time. It was a hard thing for me to get over. The moment I sincerely turned to Allah and focused on the deen, it was so easy for me to just drop it. I didn't even realize how easy it was for me to drop it. Now I'm at a point where I start to get disgusted by it. And it feels like a resistance for me to even want to listen. And I think back and I'm like, subhanallah, all these bad things, all these bad habits, eating junk food, playing video games all day, all this stuff, all the bad habits that you have in the dunya, Allah removes from your life slowly. Of course, you have to make the effort and turn to Allah and make the effort to try to get rid of those habits. But Allah makes it so easy, and you don't even realize how easy He makes it when you go with His assistance. Like, subhanAllah, I want to show you guys a hadith. So Allah is saying here that my servant draws not nearer to me with anything more love to me than the obligatory acts. So the obligatory acts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, the 5 salah, the fasting during Ramadan, giving zakah, and making hijrah, or not making hijrah, going to hajj if it's possible, etc. All these things, when you're fulfilling the basic duties that Allah has given you, and you're starting to slowly perfect them over time, you just realize Allah is pushing these things out of your life. He's all these bad things. The music, it's gone. The video games and wasting time, watching a bunch of TV and movies, all this stuff, it just slowly drops out of your life, and without you even realizing. And then you find yourself, signing up for classes on learning about the deen. You find yourself looking at more Islamic videos and looking for more lectures and such, and just overall seeking knowledge and to learn more about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You start filling in your time with all these good things that'll please Allah. This is Allah doing this. not you. Allah is guiding you through this. He's telling you, after the obligatory acts, my servant continues to draw near to me with not obligatory, but nawafil acts, like voluntary acts, acts that we don't have to do. And this happens, continually doing this over time until Allah loves him. And when Allah loves him, Allah is his hearing with which he hears. Like for example, the music, right? You find yourself, you're going to be listening to more Quran, you're going to be listening to more things that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, less false speech and things that displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It makes music, it makes it so easy to drop music out of your life. He's the seeing Allah is the seeing with which he sees. You start to see things that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're seeing more Muslim brothers around you. You're seeing the masjid more often. You're lowering your gaze. Things like this. Basically, Allah is guiding you through these actions with his hand with which he strikes and with his foot with which he walks. So you find yourself going to the masjid more often, especially during Fajr and Isha time. You find yourself going to the masjid more often. You find yourself reading more Quran. You find yourself, again, instead of using your hands to play video games and such, you find yourself, again, looking up for classes to sign up for learning about the deen. You find yourself looking towards more Islamic lectures and things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. Subhanallah. This is a sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love. This is a sign of his love. How many people used to find themselves in these bad habits, and when they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they find themselves doing things that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. Like the examples I mentioned. Again, when you're going to the masjid, when you're seeking more knowledge, when you're wasting less time and you're using your time wisely, you're doing things that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a sign of his guidance. This is a sign of him drawing you closer to him. Subhanallah. And I realized this myself when I tasted the sweetness of Iman after reverting to Islam. It just felt like I could never go back. Like I could never go back to that lifestyle and never go back to those bad things that were in my life. And here's the thing to keep in mind. Iman will always go up and down, right? And there will be times where it will feel low. But every single time, I'd go back and I would reflect. And I realized the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I just couldn't see the beauty behind it because I'm always focused on the negative. I'm always focused on looking at the bad side of things. When you start to look at the negative and you start to look at the bad side of things, right? It makes it harder to see the positive. You're just overlooking it. You're completely overlooking all these little things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did for you. And it literally takes a moment of reflection and looking back on your past to be able to see that. Subhanallah, you see Al-Latif in his ways. It's beautiful. And then I wanted to share a verse from the ayah from the Quran with you guys as well. Inna as-salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. I'm still working on my reading, but indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing. It wipes immorality and wrongdoing from your life. Slowly, you realize that over time, like the examples I mentioned earlier, this is Allah showing you that through his deen, right? Prioritizing his deen, it has an effect on your life in a positive way. It leads to a better quality of life and it gets rid of these bad things that are within your life. And Allah is slowly just drawing you closer and closer to him without you even realizing it. It's subhanallah, it's beautiful to look back and reflect on that. Like you look back, the action step I want you to do is to look in your past and look at the things that you used to do that would have displeased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now looking at it and seeing how your life changed. What happened with that stuff in the past? Look back and reflect on that when you sincerely turned to Allah and you started focusing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How that affected your life. It's reflection that allows you to see the beauty of Allah's guidance. Subhanallah, it's really amazing. It's beautiful to see. The prayer doesn't only kill your bad habits, the more you focus on it, leading you to an overall better quality of life in this dunya. But also through it, Allah is preparing you for an eternal home in Jannah in the Akhirah. I wanted to serve this video as a reminder to show that Allah is always with you and that He's guiding you with, and every time you're asking for guidance, He's guiding you. He's guiding you through these actions. It's the actions. It's Allah that allows you to go to the masjid for Fajr and for Isha and for the other Salah. It's Allah that allows you to read more Quran, to be able to seek more knowledge and do these things that please Him more. It's a sign of His guidance and His love, subhanahu wa ta'ala. I hope you guys found this video beneficial. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.